All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another installment of MSP webinars. I'm doing this from home today. I'm trying something a little new. I got my new desk and I want to play with it. It's sad that as an adult man, a desk is a new toy, right? Um, so I'm joined by Ali and Mike, and these fantastic gentlemen are going to show us ITBoost. And if you've never heard of ITBoost, it is an upcoming huge contender in the documentation market. So, and then they've also got some other tricks up their sleeves beyond documentation, which makes them, uh, have a leg up on all of the other individual applications. So, without further ado, do you guys want to, introduce yourselves and just kind of take it away?
Sure. So my name is Ali Paracha. Hey guys. Some of you may have met me at IT Nation or any of the ConnectWise shows last year and this year. I've been in the MSP industry for the last 8 to 9 years there in the Dallas area. And one of the biggest issues that we had is what we're trying to resolve with our product. And so I hope you guys like it. Tom's here. Tom's been using ITBoost since the beginning, since we were doing beta. And Tom, please be unbiased. With your reviews and your opinion. I'd like you guys to introduce. I'd like you to introduce you to Mike. He's our VP of Sales, and we've got Zach here with us as well.
So thanks for the introduction, Ali, and I'll go ahead and kick things off. Mike Anderson, the Vice President of Sales for ITBoost. And I'm going to share my screen and kind of get moving. So today's platform, the introduction of the platform, really what we want to quickly show you guys is that documentation can be integrated into the RMM and PSA platforms that you guys are using out in the market in a far greater way than maybe some of the documentation platforms that you've seen in the past. We create the ability to really allow your MSP to get more efficient, more leaner, all the things that the industry says that you guys need to grow, create profitability for your MSP. And so I'll show you kind of some of the feature functionalities and talk through the value. Some of the value is self-evident, and we're happy to answer questions on all the rest. So let me.
Yeah, like Mike said, it's all about efficiency, right? And a lot of products out there in the market are saying the same thing. Well, we are we're going to make your team more efficient and productive, but when you're still using 4 or 5 different products along with your PSA and RMM, I mean, you still have that hiccup to go past. So what we're trying to get to is how soon can we get to the information, because that's the most critical aspect of resolving an issue. So, and that's what we're trying to resolve here. Mike, please go ahead and
Sure.
Let's start the demo.
So kicking off, looking at this screen that you're seeing here, one of the features that ITBoost has is the ability to allow your voice over IP phone system to do a caller ID screen push to us. We will capture the DID that you see here. And what we do is we pull up a contact screen for your customer. And really, like we spoke about, it's about having the upper hand on the information flow as soon as possible, right? As soon as the customer's calling, we will pull up this contact screen based on a caller ID web URL push out that we will capture. So immediately you've got that upper hand on the intellectual capital, right? What customer is calling, right? Who it is, any notes about this customer. Is this guy a VIP? Never put him on hold. Is he on credit hold with you guys? What type of customer they are based on our customer feedback platform, right? The assets that he commonly refers to, the documentation that he commonly refers to, as well as passwords, right? You can also see through the ticketing system, if this guy's opened up any tickets, or if anybody else in the company has opened up any tickets, so that you're not duplicating efforts and cycles, working on an issue that's already been opened up in your company, right? And I realize, you may be a 1 or 2 man shop now, but as you grow, right, and bring in other assets to your company, this will be, one of the key elements that you're not wasting time and effort trying to resolve ticketing issues or duplicating efforts. So as I move on to the platform and I drill down into that company from that company contact that just called Gamma Engineering, you can see the base landing page, what it looks like. So right out of the gate, again, it's about having the ability to have a high level of socialization back to the customer, right? I'm pulling in the asset statistics from the RMM. Down here, I have all the ticketing detail from the PSA. If I want to click on one of these ticket numbers, I can do that, and it will open up the actual ticket in the PSA platform that we have integrated, right? This one happens to be tied into ConnectWise, and we'll talk through all the platforms towards the end of the conversation. But what you would do is click on that ticket number, you would open up the actual ticket, make your changes, save that, and what it will do is it will send the update back to our platform, the ticket summary update, the status update if it's been changed, and of course the timestamps that you see here. Again, it's about having a collapsed view, single pane of glass, so you can easily, efficiently access the information. If I want to go over and look at all of the configurations associated with this company, I can do it in multiple manners. I can click on this number, or I can look at their configurations right over here. So let's say I just want a quick view and I want to click on the computer systems that we're managing. You can see it opens up the configurations, right? So that I can quickly scroll down, look through the information, and I can even open up these devices. So if I want to take a look at this managed server, for example, this information is pulling through the PSA, right? I've got the naming conventions, I've got all of the IPs and MAC addresses that I want to look at. I can even actually click this button over here, flip this detail window around, and now I'm looking at the actual RMM detail pulling through live, right? So that if I've got any issues with this memory throttling, right, I can take a look and determine what I need to do by using real statistics. One of the features that you'll like is you'll be able to even remote into this device using the remote access functionality of these RMMs and these PSAs, right? Where I can launch this app and it'll take me to a real-time remote session window where then I can then log in and start remediating what might be wrong with the device. If you see, if I go right back here, I've got the naming convention here. If I had that password in here under that same naming convention, I could hover over it if I wanted to, look at it, I could uncover it, copy it, and then go right back into the device right here, put in the user, the naming convention and the password, and I'm off and going, right? So you have the ability to get more efficient, get leaner, and be able to take a look at the information that can solve most of what MSPs do from a support perspective. One of the vital things that you'll want to do is when you have configurations pulling through is link any dependencies that this device has in the entire system. So if you look at these linked items over here that I'm showing you, right, you can see that I have, for example, the location, I have applications on here, rack information. I could put what firewall it's behind, what domain it's on, what switch it's behind, so that every single interdependency of this device is documented and linked to this in our linking session so that you can work back and forth and not lose your place. And let me show you an example. For example, maybe I'm not getting a signal from this device and I want to call this data center. I click on this data center, right? And I have this data center and the information. And if I had the phone number, I call the guys and say, hey, we're not getting a signal from this device. And they say, no, everything's working, Steve. We're good. We're good to go. Okay, well, that's not the problem. I've checked that off the list. I can come right back down to my linked items and see this device is reverse linked, right? So that I don't lose my place where I'm going. I click on that and I'm right back in the window of where I was working. Again, it's about having, a high level of socialization and intellectual capital to be able to manage through your resolution on your troubleshooting, right? I've got all of this information collapsed into a single pane of glass. Maybe the customer calls and says, hey, my website's down. We have domain trackers that are integrated into MX Toolbox so that, if the customer calls and says their website's down, I can click on their domain tracking and I quickly pull up the WHOIS records, the DNS records, right? And I can see if there's any red light, green light, what's going on. I'm even integrated into MX Toolbox so that if the customer's been blacklisted for some reason, right, and then we don't know about it, we can quickly find that out so that you are not spending valuable cycles trying to figure out, why is this guy down, right? I'm getting a signal, the servers are up, the data center's up, but quickly I can see, this guy's been blacklisted for some abuse reason, right? And then you can have a different level of conversation back to the customer, right? It's about, again, having that upper hand on the information flow to be able to determine what type of actions that you want to take, right? The platform is documentation at its core with integrations into RMMs and backup platforms that I'll show you, right? But the documentation at its core, right? We have about 30 templates that you're seeing on the left-hand side that come right out of the box. And every one of these templates is customizable. In fact, you can create your own templates with your own naming conventions and your own nomenclature so that if you name things a different way than we have examples up here, you can create your own templates, right? And it's basically coming down to our template builder. And let's, for example, just take a look at a switch template, for example. And you can see, a switch template's very simple, right? But if I want to create a higher level of view, I turn on boxes, or I can click on my template editor over here and drop anything from iframes to switch configurations to drop down boxes. And you can see that these templates, we add fields to these templates. So if you need to drop in a custom configuration switch template in here, you can, copy the image and drop it in here, right? Versus typing all of that out, single line by line commands, which we know can be very tedious, especially on switch configurations, right? You just want to take a screenshot, drop it in here, and you're off and going, right? You can create your own naming conventions up here with your own nomenclatures, save that, and you're off and going. And see what happens at the end of the day is then you attach these templates to these customers, and then per configuration, like we looked at earlier, any one of these configurations can have any number of templates attached to it so that you completely document all the dependencies, spiderweb, all the dependencies on all of the environments that you guys are monitoring and managing, right? It's about having, a central pane of glass, a select view of what you want to see in terms of the documentation, right? We have, your typical documentation of knowledge base articles in here that can be parent-child relationships, kind of that tree, sub-child relationships, or you can have a list view of knowledge base articles in here. And, a lot of this stuff in terms of knowledge base articles, simple, flat information on, what you need to do in certain cases. Sometimes it's lower value information. One of the good things that you'll like is you can quickly export this information, attach it to an email, and send it to the customer so that you're not spending, a lot of cycles, getting some of this low value information over to the customer, right? You can even allow the customer to come in and view your information if you set them up as a user list, and then based on the roles that you give them, what they do is when they log in, they see your logo instead of a demo logo here. And then based on you adding them as a user, inviting them to use the platform, and then the role that you give them would be read access only. And then you're allowing them to see whatever information that you give them permission to see, right? So you just check and uncheck boxes based on what you want them to see. Again, some of the, maybe their agreements, their templates, knowledge-based information, just some general information. We don't charge for read access only for your internal users or your customers. There is a licensing charge if you go beyond that, and we'll discuss how all that works towards the end of the conversation. So going back to the dashboards, you can see that you can set up your dashboards, right? We give you the ability, these 3 examples that we have up here are just for demo purposes, but you can set up your own dashboards, right? Where you can set on general information like you see here on tickets and open issues and customers, for example. If you want to just be setting on, all of the assets that you're pulling in from your RMM, right? So, and take a look at this information, you can do that, right? And see what's going on with it so that if you have, any devices going red, right, you're on top of it. Right out of the gate what's going on, right? You can see obviously any device that you're managing and monitoring under your RMM, your phone systems, printers, routers, switches, firewalls, servers, all of those devices. We give you ability to set on all the tickets, for example, right? And dashboard view of tickets. So, as you get busier, right, you can kind of, have some visual acuity into what's going on, right? I've got new tickets, 26 new tickets, and I've only closed today, right? If you're a 1 or 2 man shop, that's easy to manage. But as you grow, right, you want to keep track visually of why am I waiting on that? Why did I reopen this? Why has this been escalated? Are we still waiting on these parts right here, right? And so this gives you a visual representation of where you're at through your ticketing so that you can determine, where you need to make real resource decisions, based on, maybe, why is this waiting and those kind of decisions, why are these on hold, right? You get real-time information pulling across.
And Mike, I've got some questions.
Okay.
So when we were looking at a particular device, we noticed you had some real pretty buttons up at the top that would take them into ConnectWise, LabTech, or Screen Connect.
Correct.
Or whatever you want to call them now. Someone asked if you have an N-Central integration.
So SolarWinds is coming up in the next 3 to 3.5 months, along with Autotask and a couple others, which includes Kaseya too, that we're going to do in the next 3 to 3.5 months.
So we've been working with SolarWinds since late last year, got their API development, their sandbox, and Ali and his team have been working hard and to build out that integration. So that is well down the road, and we anticipate sometime in the next, sometime in the second quarter to be released. We're shooting for April, but yes, so SolarWinds is definitely on the radar to be stood up, and it'll have similar feature functionality, viewing and those kind of things as what you're seeing here. Really, that's really what we're doing, taking their outputs and tailoring it to our production pane that you see here.
And a couple of things that we've released last week. One of them is revision control, and that's in passwords. So Mike, if you go into passwords, on the right side, you'll see a revision history of a particular password. So go and click on any of the passwords, Mike, and look at the right bar, open up the right bar. And if you look at the revision history, you can go and expand that over, and you'll see, well, there's nothing changed on it. So go back into a password, let's say, go back to the first one where it says Ali, and open that up. Yeah, and then open up, the revision control, so which is pretty awesome, and it's pretty pretty awesome revision history, because you can go and compare between what's right now and then what the changes were before. So you can go in and move the slider on the top. Let's say, okay, well, you want to look at what the password looked like a month ago, or 3 months ago, or 3 days ago, and what does it look like right now. And if you're good with the changes, you can go and commit those changes, and we get those changes into ITBoost. And the good thing is, even if we change it, you can still compare it with the last change, which was the updated password that you had before you opened up this window. So this is, this is going to be this is going to go in and replicate to almost everything that we do in ITBoost. So just imagine doing this in KB articles, that you can compare every edit that you do, even custom templates, right, from what is now that you have in ITBoost and what you've had in the past. That'd be a few seconds ago, or that'd be 6 months ago. So you can go grab those revisions and rewrite those revisions.
That's very impressive.
Thanks, Ali. What else?
We also integrated a recycle bin. If you go into any KB article, there's a recycle bin there. So if you delete any KB articles, you can go and easily recover them. On the top, you've got a recover from deleted option, where it's going to list all the deleted articles. And like I said, this will replicate across everything that we have on the platform. Another thing that we did just this last week is search within KB articles. So Mike, if you go and search on the top, one thing on the UI, we're going to kind of fix that. But if you go and search for, let's say, prepare, this has a text called prepare in one of the KBs called Active Directory steps. So if you click on the AD steps, so basically you're actually just, searching within that document for a text rather than just the titles. So I'm sure a lot of our customers and new potential customers will love this feature.
Thanks, Ali. It's about having the upper hand again on that information flow, right? So that, if you take a blind transfer, let's say you don't have a screen pull, or for some reason, and the customer calls and says, I'm calling about a test environment. You're not even really sure what they're talking about. You can just type in test and it's going to search the entire platform, right? If you want to type in test here and search it, right, it'll show you anything in the knowledge base and runbook. So basically you can search the entire platform for whatever the customer says that they want information on. If you happen to not be intimately familiar, because you've got a critical mass on customer loads and you don't necessarily remember every single thing about every single customer, this is where the simplicity is built into the
and our search is pretty awesome as well, because rather than just having one drop down with 100 items that you have to scroll through, we kind of have that set up in different sections already. So if you're looking for something, that's under contacts or locations, rather than you've got 30 items under configurations or KB articles that you have to search through. So so we've kind of divided that into different sections already. And Steve, did you were you about to ask us something?
Yes. Sorry, the unmute button wasn't working. All right. So what kind of exporting capabilities does this have so we can keep backups of all the data in here?
So right now you can back up as a JSON format. We're working on our CSV, PDF, HTML exports as well. So once you export this as JSON, it's really easy for you to import that into any other platform. Basically, gives a really good view for you to import that into any other platform right now. So once we get done with our CSV exports, which will include HTML documents, PDF documents, any other attachments that you have, you'll be able to go and export it out.
Can you automatically add read-only client users from ConnectWise contacts from companies?
So if you integrate ConnectWise, Mike, if you don't mind going into the integration page, you can go and select whatever you want to bring in from ConnectWise. So as long as you have the right statuses and the right types of customers, it will bring all those contacts in from ConnectWise. And one thing that we're doing that no one else is doing right now is to bring in all the configuration questions as well. So if you have a custom configuration in ConnectWise and you want to be able to import that in, all the questions that are associated with that configuration will be synced over with ITBoost, as well as it'll have two-way sync between that configuration and our assets that we have.
Two-way sync.
Correct.
So if we make a change on the configuration item, even if it's a custom one, you're saying it will send that change over to ConnectWise.
Correct. So as long as it's a configuration, if you make a custom asset, for example, printers, that maybe print is not a good idea. Private keys, for example. If it's a private key, we don't sync it back into ConnectWise because of the API limitations that we have. But as long as it's a configuration, Mike, if you go back into the configuration, you'll see that you can go in and basically enable two-way sync. And there's two options. If you can enable it by as an inherited property, or you can do it a la carte. So if you create a new item, you can have the option to sync that over, or you can just sync later on if you want to.
All right, and then I don't think I asked that question correctly about the ConnectWise users. So you know where you can go make read-only users in the system?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you would have to add, they would have to add the user on our system, right? We control the permissions of the access to our documentation platform.
So there's not a way at this time for us to give permission automatically to anyone that's a contact in ConnectWise.
So all the contacts in ConnectWise will sync over, right? So Mike, can you go into Gamma and go into contacts? Or?
That part I understood. I just wasn't sure if there was a way to synchronize the contacts in ConnectWise as read-only users within ITBoost.
No. Okay, so not by default. But what you can do, Mike, go back on the list. What you can do is you can invite them directly from this page. So under Actions, there's an invite button. So if you go click on the invite button, it'll send out based on the roles that you've roles that you give to this user. You can send out an invite and they can join in. But not by default where all the other users will go in and come into ITBoost.
Yeah, so we have automated the process somewhat by clicking the button, but you'll have to go down and determine which users that you want, send them the invite.
Okay, and then while we're talking about users, is two-factor authentication available?
It's coming out either this week, which we're already almost end of the week, or early next week. We'll be doing 2FA via text messages for now. And then as we're working with Google Auth and Duo, we'll release those out into production. But right now, the text messages or 2FA via text messages is pretty imminent.
And Dave, I'm going to need you to elaborate on that because it looks, I don't know what you're asking because he says.
So I think let me try to answer those questions. So yeah, you can turn his mic on, Steve.
Okay.
You can basically turn on everyone's mic. I don't mind talking to people. It's just probably better.
Can't find him on the list. Oh, there he is. There you go, Dave.
All right, can you hear me?
Barely.
Hang on. Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Got better? Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go down the list. I noticed you said with Datto, Autotask, whatever you want to call it these days, for integration is coming, but is that for PSA, RMM, or for both?
That would be immediately for PSA while we work on the RMM.
So two quarters from now, you're coming out with PSA.
I'm sorry?
In 2 quarters, you're going to have integration for the PSA, and RMM is somewhere on the roadmap.
Well, not 2 quarters. We're aiming to get it out about
probably a little before
3
then.
months. Yep.
Got it. Cool. Standalone Screen Connect. So we have our own Screen Connect server. Can you integrate directly with that?
Definitely. Yep.
All right. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but your website doesn't show, at least not right off the bat, I was able to find any contact information. It takes you to a form, but it doesn't give a number or where you are, who you are, any of that.
We'll be updating our website next week, so you'll have all that.
The new website is definitely impressive, and it's got far more detail than you could ever imagine. When we launched this platform about 9 months ago, we weren't trying to necessarily spill all of our secret sauce before launch. I mean, we wanted to, do events like this one-on-one to let you see, but now we've grown past critical mass. We're having so much, so much interest now. We've got to socialize the platform through the web.
The ambiguity of the website was by design, at least to start off with. We wanted a lot of one-on-one time, which we spent with a lot of people. Now it's the time that we update, add screenshots to our site, to our different pillars that we have in our product onto the website. So we'll be going live with our new website next week. So you'll definitely like it much better than what it is now.
Got it. Cool. I noticed you just had the third-party website, the integrations. You don't have any third-party stuff like with GoDaddy. Basically, we put their username in there and it automatically pulls up all their registration information and their SSL registration or whatever product they use.
So we work with GoDaddy Network Solutions to get that done, but right now you have to manually put that into ITBoost. But once we have that integrated, let's say if you log in as yourself or your customer, all that information will be automatically brought in from GoDaddy and Network Solutions.
Got it, but you're pulling the SSL itself, it's not account-based, it's domain-based.
Correct, it is domain-based. Yeah, so you gotta manually add the SSL tracker. The domain, the main website gets synced in based on the website address that you have in ConnectWise. But if you want to add any more domains, you got to do it manually.
Okay, fair enough. Custom fields for documentation. So, there's a lot of stuff coming from the PSA and the RMM. Do you allow okay.
You're talking about custom templates, or are you talking about the KB articles?
No, custom templates in terms of, on the server, I want to know what color the server is. Can I add a special field that keeps track of that?
Not in the configurations, but in the custom templates you can. Configuration is right now limited to what we're syncing over from ConnectWise and Laptec and any other information that Laptec has. But if you want to create a custom template, you can definitely do whatever you want.
And then you would link it to that device that we showed you when I showed you the configuration.
But if in your PSA, in that configuration item, you've added a user-defined field that says what color is the server.
Yeah, so if you add that into the PSA, we will sync it over into ITBoost. So yes, thank you, Steve. That answers the question.
Just to clarify, if I change that color on your end, will it write back to my PSA as well?
Correct. So it is two-way sync. Correct.
Awesome. End user access, I'm pretty sure we covered. There's no fee for giving access to end users, correct?
No, there is not.
For read-only
access, no, there's not.
And that also includes staff for read-only access, right?
Correct. So you can do it to staff, but then they'll be limited to that one company or multiple companies that you allow that users access to, which is a manual process right now. We're going to be we're deciding if we want to create a free internal user that only reads. Once we have that figured out, we'll definitely post it online for you guys to add internal user for read-only access.
So I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. This is something I've customized with Autotask. We have a setup where a contractor will go to a client site. And the only time that contractor can look at any client information is if they have a ticket open with that client. Okay. Within our PSA, they can't go look at a client list. They can't look at any contact info until a ticket is assigned for that specific client. Can you do some sort of similar integration where they will only be able to see the configurations for that client if they have an open ticket?
David, everything is possible. It's just time and resources, right? And Tom would know. Tom can jump in and probably attest to that. So anything that people ask and our partners ask and customers ask, we give it to them, based on how much time it is required to get us done with that feature request.
Got it. Is there a cost for MX Toolbox?
No, there is not.
Okay. This was kind of touched upon, but I just want to get clarification. Where is the data sitting, and do we have raw access to all the data? If we decide this isn't working and I want to do a SQL dump and I want to leave,
So you can
that's
do
everything?
so all our backend, all our database is NoSQL. So for now, the best way for you to do that is export that file or all your customer data or all your data out as a JSON format, and then you can manipulate that data into almost anything. That's the beauty of JSON. Unlike CSV, where you have to do a lot of work and you have to clean up and write custom scripts like we have, we can import any CSV into ITBoost. So if you guys are a formal, or if you guys are a customer of our competitor, we can bring their data in as long as it's in the CSV format. Or better yet, if they give it to us in JSON format, that's going to be pretty smooth. And we've done tons of imports like that. And for you to export out, just export it out as JSON and the data is yours. In regards to your question about where the data is kept, right now it's in our data centers, but we're about to move everything over into AWS, which we'll have two different data centers here in the US. We're also going to go into Sydney data center as well as UK.
Phenomenal. Okay, cool.
And
How does it, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Just real quick, for anyone that's joined us late, we have Ollie and Mike from ITBoost here. They're giving us a demo of their product, and we've got various attendees that are popping in and asking questions. So thanks for watching. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. Mobile. Is there an app, or is it just a mobile-friendly website?
Right now it's mobile friendly, but the app is coming soon as well. And
Okay.
once we have our website up live next week, you'll be able to see the mobile screenshots too.
Okay, cool. Is there a password integration for AD and Office 365? So if I change a password here, will it write back there, and vice versa?
Not right now. We just released or announced our password management integrated platform this last November at IT Nation. And there's a lot of different things that we'll be doing. And what you just said was going to be one of them, including integration into AD, Office 365, and GoDaddy, Network Solutions, and a couple other platforms like that.
Okay. And this is a Hail Mary, but have you considered having a master knowledge base that you can preload accounts with?
Yeah, so right now so there's two different types of KB articles you can, or sections you can make. One is a global KB list. So anything that's generic, you would put that into a global list, or anything that's customer related, you would add that within that particular customer. So by default, right now, you can go in and create your own, but we don't have an option to go in and like import the ones that we have already, let's say in our demo sites. But that said, a customer wanted our run books, which we've already imported. So if you become a customer, you'll have those 3 or 4 run books that we have in ITBoost by default. So, and on that note, we'll be doing a couple of different things. Number one would be sharing documents and run books and templates between ITBoost customers. So Tom's been using our product for a while and he wants to share a KB or a run book or even a custom template with you. He could just give you a link and you can click on it and you have that KB or a template directly imported into ITBoost.
Okay, I miss the part. The master knowledge base that you demonstrated, it shows how to use an iPhone and its Outlook and all that. They correct. Can those be imported as is right now, or are those? Well, there's only 21. I guess it's not that big.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, these are just our demo sites. If you want something, we can definitely share those with you.
Got it. Cool. That answers all of my crazy questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Okay, so Andy has several questions about Office 365. So can a client user have their credentials authenticated by Office 365? Can a client Active Directory have their passwords synchronized from the AD infrastructure?
Not at this moment, but like I said, we just announced our password management in November 2017. What you guys want is definitely the direction that we want to go to. It's just not available right now.
Okay. Do you sign BAAs?
Definitely, yes, we do.
Perfect. Is there a roadmap to connect to clients Office 365 tenants, client AD, purposes of password sync and user management? Time
We
frame.
can share our roadmap with you guys, but that all those items are planned to be in the third quarter of 2018.
If you sign up for I'll wait for that one for later.
Mhm.
IT Glue. Whoops. So some other company has added a tiny little feature, something similar to printing a PDF. We'll call it bun rooks. Then they decided it was a good idea to charge extra for that one feature. Is that going to be your business model?
No, so one of the things that we excel in, the reason that I have ITBoost is because of all the issues that I've had with my competitors, not just one, mostly all of them, is if I want something, then it's a nickel and diming gaming process. Everything in ITBoost is included as a standard feature. So let it be you're a standard startup customer with with a maximum 3 users, or you sign up for 200 use licenses, you get the same standard features across all the board. So anything that we release will be a part of our product. So,
and guys, the beautiful part about this, as Ollie spoke about, as we're releasing the 2FA and we're going to be releasing some reporting on the ticketing dashboard and a number of feature enhancements. As Ollie and team continue to release these upgrades, your platform on the ITBoost platform, it just becomes more valuable, right? You get more value out of it because now you're continuing to pay, have the same cost model, but you're gaining feature functionality that can make a difference in your business.
yeah, so anything that we release will be part of our same price. So if you sign up now, we're not going to come back and say, hey, by the way, this new feature is coming out and you got to pay more. An example is our custom widget creator, custom BI tool that we're coming up pretty soon. We've been working on it for the past 6-7 months now. Right now, all our widgets that you see here are kind of fixed widgets, but with the new custom widget creator, you'll be able to go select your own measures, select your own dimensions, select the time that you want, select your own graphs, and create a widget based on that. So once we add that, it's not going to be an extra cost to you guys.
On the HUD that was displayed earlier, can we create our own gauges?
So like I said, right now they're fixed. You can move those gauges around. You can select which gauges you want. But once we have our custom widget creator, so we call them widget instead of gauges, you'll be able to go and do all those yourself.
Is there an API?
No, there's not. We're working on so many different things right now. We're updating and adding new features every week. It's going to be hard for us to go in and keep up with the API. So we're going to release that probably by the end of the year.
That seems completely reasonable to me. Can passwords that are saved in the system be passed through to remote tools like Screen Connect for logging into a system or application on the remote side?
That's a great question. We just submitted our Screen Connect integration to Screen Connect to be available on their marketplace. So once they approve it, so right now we integrate via a link, and we have an API key that you use. But with the extension, you can flawlessly go and integrate ITBoost with Screen Connect, and then we're going to be extending that feature for you guys to be able to pass through your password. So if you have a password specially linked to your configuration and you click on Screen Connect, it's going to ask you which password you want to log in with and log into that particular machine.
And if a client wants a hard copy of their network configuration, what export options are available to provide customer-facing reports or documentation? And I think I can answer this one. You can click the little the PDF button, right?
The only issue with that is that would be one document at a time. I believe what the question is that how can you export all your data out? Just like what you just mentioned a few minutes ago, what our competitor did, with
runbooks.
With runbooks, you can export everything out, but we don't call those runbooks. Runbooks in a typical IT department is basically how you would run a project rather than exporting your data out. which we do with our run books, right? So our run books are different. It's different than their run books. But the question is for client export, we don't have that feature right now. We are working on that. Once we do, you'll be able to export out your whole client, include everything that you've added to that customer, the KB articles, the custom templates, the configurations in a nice PDF format, and then you just hand it over to them.
Do you have an ETA on that?
My CTO is going to kill me if I give an ETA out. So I'm probably going to say probably third quarter of this year.
So sometime in 2018.
Correct.
Totally cool.
I like that answer better. Sometime in 2018.
And that's the same question. So we've kind of touched on some of these widgets that you have available to you, but I think a good question to ask is, what tools can this ITBoost actually replace?
So we're trying to replace. We have 4 pillars of the product, right? So there's documentation, which is the core of our product. Then we're getting into a lot of BI stuff and analytical stuff. Customer surveys is another major thing that we want to integrate, which we built up from scratch in ITBoost, and passive management, which we just released, or which we just announced this November, or last November. Other tools that you can replace, though I'm not going to say replace, but easy to have access to, is your backup dashboards, right? One issue that I had with my techs is for them to log into, let's say, CrashPlan or Veeam dashboards to check what the status is. We've integrated directly into ITBoost. Right now we're doing CrashPlan, but just like you see the screen here, Veeam, Data, Storage Graph is going to be the same thing. Along with that, I believe that it's going to be pretty feasible for you guys to be able to go and integrate AV products and anti-malware products directly into ITBoost. So when you're looking at a customer or when you're looking at a configuration, the backup status comes in, the AV status comes in, the malware status comes in. So you don't have to go into 10 different screens to do what that you want to do. So even though you won't be able to replace those products, you'll still be able to integrate that into ITBoost.
So, and a lot of that depends, Steve, on the feature functionality. If you're just needing basic dashboarding function without specific workflow functionality from tickets, and a lot of our customers say, I just need these visuals to see what's going on in my business. I'm not specifically assigning workflows. I just need to know what's going on. In a smaller shop, I just need to see, what's happening, right? I just need a quick visual. And I can see that, right? So this is where you start seeing some of the differences. If you're needing, a very high level of complexity and value and workflow process, I'm probably not going to replace that, right? But if you're wanting to see how the business is doing, I have a key, a feedback metrics page built in so that, when you close out a ticket in one of the PSAs, right, we send out an email snippet that goes back to the customer that says, hey, we closed out a ticket. How did we do? Were we good or were we not so good? Do we need some improvement, right? If you want to add specific scoring categories, you can do that also with your own custom questions so that at the end of the day, when you get completely filled out surveying metrics, it looks something like this, right? Where you can see how the business is doing based on real data streams coming back in from your customers, right? You can tell what kind of response rate you're getting and whether it's positive or negative, right? You can tell who your best customers are, who your worst customers are, and if you're doing a good job, right? If you've got one tech, that's pretty easy to figure out. If you've got 10 techs, right, you want to have that real world information so that you can make resourcing decisions in real time, right? You can see how likely the customers are, your customers are to promote you to the industry. So if you're wanting to grow and get more profitable and get more revenue, right, you can see how the business is doing based on all these scoring matrices that are coming into the platform, right? And you can drill down on any of this in real time. And we just happen to reset our dashboard platform because we're cleaning it up. But you would be able to click on any of these responses. It would go to the actual response. You could click on it to see, what the issue was, what the score was, who the tech was, and the response back to, to your business, right? And so this allows you, again, a high level of interaction with your customers to determine, how the business is performing in, with real world information from your customers, right? So if you were using a separate customer surveying index platform, yeah, you could get rid of that. If you're using, multiple silos of documentation, yeah, you can collapse those, get rid of those and put your documentation in here. Plus now you have, again, everything the industry tells growing MSPs they need to get more profitable, right? And that's to get more efficient, to get leaner, to lower your TTRs on these tickets. And you're doing that by utilizing a platform like ITBoost to manage most of what MSPs do, in a day-to-day operation to manage and remediate their environments. I mean, this will allow you guys also to, take a look at your configurations. And if you've been considering, adding some higher value services, for example, if you want to go down and look at these configurations, right, I can sift through these configurations and I can take a look, for example, at this storage device, right? And maybe I've been thinking about adding network consulting or storage consulting to my MSP as a value add to my customers. I can clearly see this device is out of warranty. It's a Dell storage device, a 720. And I can clearly see that there's 2 shelves that are maxed out. So if anybody knows anything about storage consulting, I mean, you're at $185 to $250 an hour, depending on, what type of platform you are for your consulting, right? And so when you look at those kind of revenues and the margins associated with it, if you can find a storage consultant, or if you happen to be a storage expert, right, you can provide higher value levels of service.
So this is awesome, guys. I mean, there is so much information here, but with all this information, with all these integrations and everything, doesn't that kind of like increase the possibility of like a security breach by having all these different integrations?
I mean, just like any other platform, I mean, you do BrightGauge and BrightGauge is all about integration to bring the data in. And yes, security breaches is a major concern, but we've done a lot of different things on our side to make sure that doesn't happen. All the encryption that we have in place, we're going to come up with our master key login as well, where if you want your data, all the data will be encrypted. So no one will have access to that until you put your master key in. Even in the database, every item in ITBoost will be encrypted, right? So we're gonna we're working on those things to prevent any issues, especially if you're a HIPAA compliant, and if you do a lot of medical documentation and whatnot, or legal documentation, or even for the city or security companies, you can go and encrypt your session or your instance, right? So anytime that you need to log in, yeah, it's a hassle to log in because you would have to have that key every time. 2FA is gonna help as well, right? So right now with text messaging, but once we do Google Auth and Duo, it's gonna increase security. Going into the AWS instance is gonna help majorly, being PSA and ISO compliant.
So speaking of security, I don't know if you see next to HTTPS in your URL there, there's no padlock.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look. Depends on the browser as well. So if you open that up in Internet Explorer, you'll see the padlock. But I think for Chrome or Safari, it doesn't show the padlock.
Excuse me. I know that on a typical website, I would use whynopadlock.com to figure out, what dumb little image am I not realizing is not being loaded with HTTPS. But I don't know that would work on something like this where you got to be authenticated and all that. But I just thought I'd throw that out there for you.
Sure, no problem.
Do you have any plans on a TeamViewer integration?
Yeah, we've got plans to integrate with everything in the market. Just, how long does it take for us to get that done? Possibly sometime in 2018. Steve, I'm going to use your wording.
Well, that's a possibly, and
Yes.
totally, it's probably not something a lot of people have asked for yet. So
It depends on the platforms that they're using, right? So right
Right.
now we started off with ConnectWise, and with Laptec, Screen Connect was the major thing. We were internally as the help desk, we were using these platforms, so it made natural sense for us to do those. So once we started integrating with other RMM platforms, and if they're using TeamViewer, we would have no option but to integrate with them. And TeamViewer is probably one of the most used one outside of the RMM scope as well.
I can't understand why you would actually admit this, but someone wants to know, have you seen attacks on your network? Have there been any types of breaches?
No, there has not been so far.
So that they'll admit to. Where is ITBoost getting warranty information from when upgrading?
So right now it's getting it from Laptec, but if you have warranty master integrated into Laptec, it's going to come into ITBoost as well.
So essentially the warranty is coming from the PSA, however that's getting in there.
It's coming in from the RMM, not the PSA,
Sorry.
because let's say with ConnectWise, it doesn't really store the warranty. It just stores in a text format, which we don't like. But RMM does a better job, which right now Laptec does a better job of doing that. So right now you see it says it's expired. It's coming the sources from warranty master and the expiry date.
Okay. Man, I gotta say, man, this tool looks cool. Like, I don't even care if I put data in it. I just want to play with it for hours. Like, I saw you click that button to like make the page like literally flip. I mean, it's
flip.
just,
We do call it flip as well.
yeah, I mean, it's just cool. And Jordan says, this looks way more built out than when I last saw it. I mean, the last time I saw it, it was still in beta. So, I mean, I'll be completely honest. I had no idea where it was going. That was gosh, that was almost a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we did a beta launch at Automation Nation.
Yeah.
So if you can unmute Tom, Tom can tell you how many updates we do. Basically, we have new stuff coming in almost every week, if not twice a week. So it's like I said, the revision control got released a week before last. The search within the KB articles got released last week. The recycle bin was a week before last, and we have so many other things coming up, on our roadmap and items that we're working on.
The number of updates that you release is impressive, that's for certain. But one thing that I was also really impressed with was I saw Tom said in the chat, how did he word it? Their responsiveness to changes has been phenomenal. In fact, and he's not saying all of the changes, but some of the changes that may be more simple to implement have been resolved within a matter of just a few days.
Yeah, so we really take support as the biggest thing, and not just support, not just listening to people and helping them out, but actually having actionable items and giving results to those. Any other issues that we have or any other feature requests that we have on our Slack channel or our direct website chat, it goes through our ticketing process, and me along with all our team members, we sit down there almost every night. And we go through all those feature requests and have a timeline. And those timelines are basically 2 weeks to 4 to 6 weeks, right? Based on the features or the requests that people have put in. I'm not going to, say that we're the best, but we try to be the best, right? We can only strive to be the best product out there. And it's only been a year and a half since our existence anyway. So what we've done in a year and a half, just, unbiased opinion as a customer, is pretty impressive to me. I mean, it's weird to see something that we thought about after IT Nation 2016. We started working on a concept of ITBoost in January 2016, and we hired our first employee in May 2016. And then November 2016, we were at IT Nation, trying, giving a view of our product. And then Automation Nation, we launched for beta. And in November 2017, we got out of beta. So that timelines that we have had are still aggressive, that we just had to, do a lot of different things on the product. And even now, it's not as if we're kind of stopping, right? We announced passive management, and even passive management has a whole lot of items that we want to do. So basically, it's not just, if you really talk about competition, we don't really have one competition. We have 4, 5, 6 competitors in the market, right, that we're trying to compete with. So within ITBoost, there's 6 different products that we're building from ground up, rather than just doing integrations with other platforms.
Well, this is fantastic. There are a few more questions. Someone said, my MSA states that if I part ways with a client, I give them access to retrieve their data and info, so I'm not liable for holding anything back. Can ITBoost help facilitate this, since right now we can't do the export ourselves?
Yes. So if you wanted upon request, we can give it to you guys. Given that it's not an automated process, I know that it's probably going to take us 2 to 3 weeks to get to that point where we can hand it over in a nice CSV HTML format. But yes, we can definitely facilitate with that.
Okay. But you're happy to help, and that speaks volumes. So, yeah, how he does it is he basically gives them access to like IT Glue and says, here's a username and password. You have 30 days to retrieve the data. Then access disappears. So
Yep.
I'm sure that if he's an ITBoost customer, he may bring that up to you and let you know.
Yeah, so I mean, you can give them read-only access for sure. And once you give read-only access to the customer, Mike, if you don't mind going into the customer dashboard, the customer is going to have access to the dashboard. So basically, based on the permissions, anything that you've given them access to, they'll have that access to on this customer's site, right? So you can enable access for 30 days, and then you can disable or delete the user.
Perfect.
When they log in, they'll see your logo that you've set up here.
So it's not just an iframe branding, it's the kind of embedded into the product from the login page to once you log in to the emails that they receive, it's going to come up with your information. When they go look at the customer documentation on the, if it's a public facing documentation, they'll see your logo on it. So it's a good co-branding or branded platform, basically. So right now the customer is only going to see ITBoost on the footer, and that's about it.
Well, he's happy with what you already said. Honestly, I don't care if they have to print it. There's no need to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
So would you say that ITBoost is going to be a usable and valuable product if it's not currently today able to integrate with my tools?
I'm sorry, I missed your
What was the
question.
question?
So today, I'm Kaseya BMS, Kaseya VSA. If I signed up right now, is this going to be valuable? Is it going to be usable for me?
Yeah, so if you're using an RMM, right? So we just bring in the configurations that gets merged with the PSA. So if you're using Kaseya and ConnectWise, for example, you can integrate it through ConnectWise and all that information will come into ITBoost. We've got a bunch of customers that don't have any integration. They're using our platform for documentation purposes only. And for them to bring in configurations, they just give us the CSV format. So if you can export out of Kaseya or your other PSA, we can import all that into ITBoost. I can share you the CSV templates with you guys that we have for our configurations, and we take care of all the import for you guys, right? So it just makes it super easy to bring the data in. Yes, without that integration, the hiccup is if you add a new machine, you got to manually add that into ITBoost as well for now until we get that integration. But that's the only drawback that you have.
But that is the value of documentation, right? Where documentation was set, 4 or 5 years ago when the other competitors came out, right? This platform, has those same feature functionalities, but now goes far above and beyond the value stream by having these other integrations. And so you can get on the documentation platform, even if you're on Kaseya for your tools, right? Be using it, streamlining your information flows. And then when the Kaseya platform is integrated, just think about how much more value you'll get moving forward.
So, and then playing devil's advocate, let's say I give you that CSV template filled out with all of my devices, users, everything, okay? And then you do finally build that integration in, the 3 or 4 months like you promised. Is it going to be like, oh, look, these two are the same, so I should just merge the data and keep?
Yeah, so you can.
Good question.
So right now, it does the same thing with if you have LabTech and ConnectWise integrated. Let's say if you integrate ConnectWise first, all the configuration will be pulled in from ConnectWise. But now we've got LabTech integration as well. So we merge and we look at the data, the host name as well, along with the MAC address. So if they're the same, we merge the data. As well as that, we give you the option to do, if you go into mapping right here, you can go and merge. You can go in and merge configurations in yourself. So you can merge in companies if they're different names, or you can merge in single configurations. So if Mike, you open up anything, just Gamma, I guess. No, just do Gamma.
And is, just for my own nosiness, is the help desk your company?
It is or was. I guess I'm in the process of getting out of it completely. Right now, it's just managed by someone else.
Gotcha.
I'm on the stakes.
Okay. How is the availability of the application? Does it have high availability? Like if the data center were to go down, are there redundancies in place to continue using it? Or are there any single points of failure right now?
That's a great question. So right now we've got 2 different locations of our servers, right? So one is based out of Dallas. The other one, the data center is based in LA. But we're going to be getting rid of our LA data center. We're going to be moving everything over into AWS and then having our data center as a replicated failover high availability site. So the first failover point will be within AWS session itself, and then if that fails for some reason, it'll come into our own data center, and that's going to work with Sydney and UK as well.
Do you have any asset depreciation tracking for hardware as a service?
Not right now. For hardware as a service, that was one of the things that I really wanted to work on, back in January 2016 when we were trying to figure out what we need to do with the product. But that by itself is such a big task to manage. We do plan on adding that into ITBoost, but it's not in. And it's not going to be probably discussed for 2018 anyway. We want to make sure that the core products that we have in ITBoost are excelled at everything that we're doing before we get into anything new.
And you can see Steve right here is a completion report. So for example, if I'm a smaller shop, right, I want to know where my gaps are and where the risk is to the business, right? I can clearly see that every single customer I have in the system, and then every single device and documentation point I have is also mapped out. So I can clearly see where my red lights are, right, in my documentation, right, so that I can manage to the gaps and the risks to the business. So if I have a customer call, Davidson Stewart Morlock needs a password reset, I can clearly see I don't have passwords documented in here, right? And so this is how, as if you're a smaller shop, right, you can quickly and efficiently go through the environments to determine what you have mapped out and documented, and then remediate where your gaps are, where the red is to come up to your completion standards.
The only thing that would make this sexier, percentages.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of new stuff coming on to the completion report, and a logic behind those percentages. We'll definitely be adding those in the next few releases.
So let's talk about the thing that everybody's dying to know.
Sign up right now.
Well, first, I have a question that's sort of related to it. So right now, your pricing, you've got two different levels for your pricing. You have, I believe you call it starter, and
It's
that
the
is,
top and premium.
Are you
and
gonna
the starter
split it?
plan, the starter plan is for up to 3 users, and it is a flat price, whether you have 1 user, 2 users, or 3 users. And that is 120 a month.
Correct.
And then there's the premium plan, which is $50 a user, and you have to get a minimum of 5 users.
Correct.
So you're either looking at 120 or 250.
Correct.
So as of today, the price is $50 a user. We're just going to talk about premium because starter just so blah, right?
Mm.
We'll just talk about premium because everyone wants
Who wants to
something.
sign up for a startup pricing anyway?
Yeah. So so if I sign up today, it's $50 a user. In 3 years, let's say you want to raise the price. 3 months, you might want to raise the price. You're going to have a lot more integrations. The new price is 75. Do I pay 75 or do I pay 50?
When you become a customer, you get locked into the price for 2 years. We have a special deal with ASCII where you get locked in for 3 years. So if you're an ASCII member, do let us know. We lock you in for that pricing for 3 years. And in terms of, well, the price right now is $50 next month or 3 years down the lane, it'll be, Mike, you need to go sleep. Mike, you're on video. Did you know that? Mike.
I'm aware of that.
He's just embarrassed now. You're being mean, Ollie.
So anyways, yeah, so even if you increase the price to 75 or so sometime in the future, it's not, I mean, first of all, the pricing that we're going to have will be competitive with the market. So whatever the market is will still be extremely competitive with that market coming up, which I don't think is going to change. It's going to be, if anything, it may go down. It just depends on volume.
Well, speaking of it going down, we were able to come to an agreement to help people out that subscribe to MSP webinars.
Yep.
And I would love to tell people about the special deal we've got going on.
Sure, of course.
Ali, would you like to do the honors?
No, I'll let you tell people.
All right. I suppose. So I had a great conversation with Ali, and one of the things that my concern as a small managed service provider is, all these tools are fantastic, but when there's minimums, I mean, if you think about it, the starter even feels like it's a minimum of 3 users with a price like that. So with higher minimums, it's hard for a 1 or 2 user company to sign on for all these fantastic tools. So what we did is I put Ali in a headlock. I did some MMA moves on him, and we came up with a new plan. It's called Premium. It's still $50 a user, but it's minimum 1 user. So for anyone that is an MSP Webinars subscriber, I'm actually going to have the link that you need along with the discount code that you need. Those are going to be posted up on my Patreon at 2:30. So you can go to patreon.com/Steve Taylor, or you can go to mspwebinars.com, and there's a link up in the menu to get you to Patreon, and that will get you the special pricing. And how long is the minimum 1 user good for, Ali?
Well, it depends on you, right? Steve, we came up to an agreement in that this is mainly for MSP webinar customers. It's not out there for anyone else. So, just your network, your group, the people that are active with MSP webinars will get this discount. So right now the coupon is set up to expire in April. but it just depends on what we have going on. We may extend it for new customers joining in, but right now it's going to expire in April.
So we have a few months to get signed up, and once we get signed up, we can stay on that minimum one user indefinitely.
Yes. Yeah. So the price lock is for with MSP webinar customers. It is going to be for 3 years as well. So
Okay.
they'll be price locked in for 3 years, just like ASCII members.
Okay, fantastic. So we have till April to get signed up with ITBoost, and if things go well, if Ali sees, holy cow, MSP Webinars is bringing us so much business, they may just extend the coupon out longer for the people that aren't ready to do anything yet. Because
It
I
doesn't
get
mean
it,
that you guys have to wait till April. You can just start signing up at 2:30 today.
Yeah, you can start now. I mean, he won't mind. Um, implementation costs. Normally for premium that is $350, and if I recall correctly, while I had Ali in that headlock, we got the implementation down to 100 per user.
So there are two things to that, right? So
Sorry,
I'll do onboarding with you guys, the implementation with you guys. That's going to be $100 flat fee. But at the same time, if you guys have any import that we want to do as well, our competitors or just any CSV files that you guys want to bring in, that's going to be another $100. We're not going to limit you guys to say, okay, well, we send you one file, implement that, import that in. It's, so unless you guys are happy with it, we're going to, work on the imports with you guys. So $100 onboarding implementation, and onboarding, unlike other products, it's not, hey, you get on a 20-minute call and here's the link to our KB and you go in, good luck, and let us know if there's an issue. I work with you guys personally on that one-on-one, sit down with you, look at what you guys have, come up with a good action plan for you guys to start working on ITBoost. And if you do any imports, that's another $100.
And is that still going to be one-on-one? Because I know initially we talked about that possibly being group training.
I would prefer it to be in a groups format, just because there would be a lot of one-man shops. So if we can come up to a time frame where it's saying, okay, well, I can block 2-3 hours on implementation and onboarding if people are willing for it. I'd rather just do a group rather than one-on-one. But if it's imperative that we do a one-on-one, I'm fine with that too.
Okay. So what we can do is maybe Ali, you and I can come up with a few dates for just, we can do the onboarding training as another Zoom webinar, and we can just kind of help people get their system up and running. This is something that I'm excited to get for myself as well. It's so pretty. I just want to use it. So I'm looking forward to learning how to use this product more myself. Is there anything else I should bring up, Ali, Mike?
I think there's a question by Will Heflin. If there's any additional BI reporting available, we don't have any additional right now. But once we get done with our custom reporting tool, we start adding, for example, QBRs that you can go and get off from ITBoost and have the system send it automatically over to a customer every quarter, every 6 months, or every year. So those are the things that we are working on.
Excellent. Well, very, very good. So I really appreciate this, you guys. I hope that everybody here enjoyed the webinar. This platform, I'm going to say it again, this looks phenomenal. I can't wait to see all of the integrations you guys bring out in the next few months, later on in the year, and to infinity and beyond for that matter, just because I see so much potential here. And
Thank you guys.
I don't get this excited often, so thank you.
It all goes to our partners as well, for people who joined us at the beta program, who put trust in us, in our product, in the vision of the product, and the vision of the company. We started off with, just as an idea, just a bit over a year ago. So now, just even to see this product where it is now in this short amount of time is even for me is a huge undertaking, right? So I just want the support from you guys. be open about your feedback, right? Even if it's a negative feedback. I actually honestly would take negative feedback over any positive feedback any time of the day, because that is the only way we can make our product better. Any recommendations, any suggestions you have, please do let us know so we can make this a product better. And it's not just an effort from our side. It's an effort from everyone to make a product that they want. If they want a product, that's the only time we can help them out. So please do, if you do sign up, be open about your feedback. No matter how bad it is, we'll take it in. No matter how pissed you get, we're more than happy to work with you guys on anything related to ITBoost. You can, like Mike is showing, you can do it directly from the app. There's also a chat button on the bottom. You can click on that. Once you sign up, we'll add you guys into a Slack channel as well, so you guys can come in and we can work with you guys one-on-one. So there's so many different avenues. Plus, you can always send emails over to support@itboost.com, which of course goes through its own process. But we're trying our best on our side to be as proactive, because we are all in the proactive business, right? To be proactive on issues and help you guys out as soon as much as we can.
So I'm gonna do something I've done a couple times before. I'm gonna recap everything. We're gonna call it Too Long Didn't Watch. Okay, so we had Ali and Mike from ITBoost join us. They showed off the most gorgeous documentation portal I've ever seen. And it's not just documentation, it also offers business intelligence widgets. It offers password management and customer satisfaction, so surveys. And all of that is brought into a single pane of glass. Today, it integrates with the ConnectWise stack, so ConnectWise Manage, Automate, and Connect. Soon, they'll be integrating it with Kaseya, Autotask. I believe SolarWinds was in that list. Yep. And then it looks like they've even got some other Dropbox, Veeam, Slack, Passportal, Thycotic. I've never even heard of Thycotic. But I also know that today they are able to integrate with CrashPlan, which is pretty cool because that's what I use for my backups. So it's a fantastic product. Normally it goes for $50 per user per month, minimum 5 users. We have a special deal with MSP Webinar subscribers where you can get it for $50 per user per month, minimum 1 user. So the minimum goes away. I'm really excited about that. This is a fantastic platform. It's just as well, I'm not going to say it's just as capable, but it's still very helpful and very usable, even if it does not integrate with any of your tools today. Is there a way for us to get a trial of any sort, or is it just one of those money back guarantees?
Yeah, it is those money back guarantees. So we give you 30 days. You can try it as long as you want, or for 30 days, you get the money back. So basically, if you sign up for 1 user, you use it for 30 days. You don't like it. You don't like the onboarding or the implementation or anything. You just we refund you the money. All we ask is the reason why you're canceling. Just be blunt, honest, and that's about it.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out of your day to do this.
Thank you.
We will be in
Thanks for
touch so
having
that way we can absolutely. We'll be in touch so we can schedule some group training for ITBoost for all the people, the hordes of people that are going to get signed up. Again, that deal will be on the patreon.com/Steve Taylor, and it will be posted at 2:30 Eastern today. So. Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. I do hope that you all have a great day. And real quick, tomorrow we have another awesome webinar coming up. It's Brian Kelly, the owner of Comprehensive MSP. He's going to come in and tell us how to do patch management correctly using LabTech. Brian Kelly is I'm going to call him a ConnectWise guru because I feel like he knows LabTech better than some of the guys that work at LabTech, which I've heard from somebody that formerly worked at LabTech. So, so I definitely recommend you guys come check that out. Even if you're not a ConnectWise LabTech user, check it out. You might learn something new for your own way of doing patch management with your RMM. And we've got another mastermind group coming up next week as well. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you at the next webinar.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot.
guys.